Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be exploring something kind of different.
Yeah.
It's this idea from back in 2012
Hmm.
about using sound to navigate touchscreens.
It's pretty cool stuff.
And our expert today is here to, well, to give us the deep dive on this.
Excited to be here.
So we've got this paper,
Yeah.
Spindex,
Mm-hmm.
enhances menus on touchscreen devices with tapping, wheeling, and flicking.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
From 2012 ACM Transactions on Computer Human Interaction Journal.
So first of all, what is this Spindex thing? What are we talking about here?
Well, you know how it is like when you're scrolling through a giant playlist on your phone
Oh, yeah.
and you have to visually scan each song?
Right.
That can be super time consuming,
Yeah.
especially if you're, trying to do something else at the same time.
Or even just in your contacts list.
Exactly.
You're trying to find one person in like hundreds.
Yeah, and that's exactly the problem they were trying to solve, and making it easier and faster to navigate these long menus.
Okay, so how did they even,
Do it.
yeah, how they do it?
Well, they came up with this thing called Spindex,
Spindex.
short for speech index.
Okay.
And it's this system where you hear a quick sound, like a non-speech sound,
Okay.
before the phone actually says the menu item. So, like, if you're looking for that song Superstar,
Yeah.
you'd hear a distinct sound for S
Right before?
right before the phone says Superstar.
Oh, so it's like a little heads up.
Exactly.
Like, oh, here's the section you're looking for.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah, and then you can really hone in on the spoken words to find exactly what you're looking for.
So it's like two stages.
Yeah, it's a two-stage navigation model.
Rough and then fine.
Rough navigation and fine navigation. And it really taps into how our brains process information.
Right.
I mean, we're really good at picking up these distinct sounds, even if we're not actively listening.
It's like when you're at a party and you hear your name
Exactly.
across the room and you're like,
That's me.
gotta pay attention now.
Right, and that's what Spindex is doing.
Interesting.
It's giving you that attention grabber.
I see. So did they actually test this out?
Oh, yeah, they did.
Did it actually work?
They had 122 students
Wow.
navigating a playlist of 150 songs,
Okay.
using all sorts of methods, tapping, wheeling like an old iPod,
Right.
flicking, and they had the screen on and off.
Okay.
Really covered all the bases.
So what'd they find? What happened?
Well, they found that people were way faster at finding their songs when they were using Spindex.
It works.
It worked.
Wow.
No
Right.
matter what method they were using.
So it wasn't just
It
like,
wasn't a gimmick.
yeah, some fluke.
It was legit.
That's awesome. Okay. So it makes it faster.
Yeah, and they found one other interesting thing.
Okay.
People said they felt less mentally tired
Mm.
when they were using Spindex.
Yeah. I can see why.
Especially with the screen off.
You're not having to like look at every single thing.
Right.
Just waiting for that audio cue.
Exactly. And that's what it does. It shifts it from active searching to more passive monitoring.
Okay, cool. So we know it's faster. We know it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
Did they like it though? Was it more fun?
That's where it gets a little tricky.
Okay.
So people said that they saw the benefits of it,
Yeah.
but they didn't really like it that much more than the regular menu.
Interesting.
Like, they didn't enjoy the experience more.
So it's more efficient.
Yeah, it's more efficient, but not necessarily more fun,
I see.
which I think is really interesting when you think about how we experience technology.
Yeah, that's true because you think like, oh, if it makes things easier, I'm going to love it. But maybe not.
Not necessarily.
So it's interesting that they even tested that.
Yeah.
So we've seen that like even a small change like this sound cue can make a big difference in how we interact with our phones
Yeah, it's amazing.
and how our brains respond to sound like
Yeah.
without even really realizing it.
But this is just the beginning. In the next part, we're going to talk about how Spindex could be used beyond just lists.
Okay, cool.
Like driving, gaming, all sorts of stuff.
I can't wait.
It's going to be good.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive.
See ya there. So we've seen how Spindex helps with those long lists.
Right. Making them way easier to navigate.
But it's not just about finding songs faster.
Yeah, where else could we use this?
Well, think about any time you need to use your phone,
Okay.
but you can't really look at the screen.
Like when you're driving?
Exactly.
Oh, man. I can't tell you how many times I've almost looked at my phone while driving.
It's so tempting.
It is.
And that's exactly where Spindex could be huge.
Right.
Imagine making calls or opening apps,
Changing your settings.
all with just sound cues.
You wouldn't even have to take your eyes off the road.
It'd be like a co-pilot for your phone,
I like that.
keeping you connected but safe.
And it wouldn't just be for driving either, right?
Nope. Think about walking through a crowded street
Oh, yeah.
or being at a busy airport.
You could still use your phone, but you'd be aware of your surroundings.
Exactly. Spindex could help us stay connected without being glued to our screens.
That's awesome. Okay,
Oh.
but there's got to be some challenges, right?
Of course, no technology is perfect.
Right.
One thing the researchers found is that there's a little time cost when you reach that target zone,
Okay.
because you have to hear both the Spindex cue and the spoken item.
So it adds an extra step.
It does, but the researchers had some ideas for how to fix that.
Okay, what did they say?
One suggestion was to shorten the pause between the cue and the item.
Oh, okay. So you're not waiting as long.
Exactly.
Got it. What else?
They also talked about making Spindex adaptive.
Adaptive.
So it only turns on when you're scrolling quickly.
Well, that's smart.
If you're taking your time browsing, you might not need it.
Right.
But if you're zipping through a long list, Spindex kicks in to help you out.
So it's like it knows what you need.
Kind of like a smart assistant.
I like it. Okay, so this whole Spindex thing has got me thinking.
Yeah.
What does this tell us about how we interact with technology?
Well, I think it shows that we can use more than just our vision.
Right.
We're so used to screens, but sound can be a really powerful way to interact with our devices.
Yeah, I've noticed that with like haptic feedback.
Oh, yeah.
Like a little vibration when you tap something.
Totally. It adds a whole other dimension.
It does.
And Spindex is doing the same thing with sound.
That's a good way to put it.
What if we could combine visuals, sounds, and even touch
Whoa.
to create these truly immersive experiences?
That would be wild. Okay, so we know Spindex can make lists easier.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about driving, walking through crowds.
Right.
But what about other types of interactions?
That's the real question.
Like, what if we could use sound to give us feedback when we're moving things around on the screen?
I love that. Imagine hearing a little confirmation sound when you drag and drop something.
Oh, yeah.
Or a different sound if you try to move it somewhere. You
Yeah,
can't.
if you like a safety net,
Exactly.
making sure you're doing things right.
It could even make everyday tasks more fun.
Like a game almost.
Right. And think about accessibility.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Sound could help people with motor impairments or cognitive differences.
It's not just about making tech accessible.
It's about using sound to make it better for everyone.
This is really opening up my mind to the possibilities.
Mine too.
So what's the most exciting takeaway for you?
I think it's that even small changes, like adding a sound cue,
Yeah.
can completely change how we experience technology.
It makes you wonder what else is out there.
Right. Like, what other hidden potential are we missing?
Well, this deep dive has definitely made me think differently about sound
Me too.
and how we can use it to make technology better.
It's amazing what we can do when we start thinking outside the box.
This has been great. But before we get too carried away,
Right.
let's take a step back and think about what we've learned.
And maybe some of the potential pitfalls.
Join us for the final part of our deep dive.
We'll wrap things up and leave you with some things to think about.
Okay, so we're back for the last part of our Spindex deep dive.
It's amazing how much there is to talk about with this.
I know, right? We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, from making things faster and safer.
To more inclusive design.
And just more engaging experiences overall.
But are there any downsides to all this? Like,
Yeah.
it can't all be good.
All right? We're right. We need to think about the potential challenges too.
Like what?
Well, one concern is that we might overload people with too much information.
It's too much sound.
Yeah, exactly. If everything starts making noise,
Right.
especially in places that are already noisy or busy, it could get overwhelming.
Yeah, like imagine opening an app and it's just beeps and clicks and whooshes.
It wouldn't be very helpful, would it?
No, it would probably drive me crazy.
So it's all about finding that balance.
Right. Not too much, not too little.
Exactly. And we also have to remember that not everyone likes the same things,
Yeah, some people love sound cues.
and some people hate them.
It's about personalizing the experience.
Exactly. Making sure it works for everyone.
Mhm. And what about people with hearing impairments?
That's a really important point.
We can't leave anyone out.
We have to make sure these technologies are accessible to everyone.
So there's definitely a lot to think about,
Yeah,
but I'm still excited about all of this.
me too.
Sound has so much potential.
Think about it. We could control everything with our voices.
Oh, wow.
Create music with gestures.
That'd be so cool.
Experience virtual worlds through sound alone.
It's mind-blowing.
This whole deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
Or should I say ear opener?
Exactly.
It's made me realize that we don't always have to invent something completely new.
Sometimes the best innovations are about finding new ways to use what we already have.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap things up.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of sound and technology.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, keep your ears open.